US Army to no longer allow transgender to enlist in military. The US Army has officially announced that it will no longer allow transgender individuals to enlist in the military and will cease providing gender transition procedures. In a social media post, the US Army emphasized that individuals with gender dysphoria will be treated with dignity and respect for their willingness to serve the nation. The Army said gender affirming care would be paused indefinitely. The policy change follows an executive order signed by President Donald Trump on January 27, which banned transgender individuals from entering the armed forces and directed the Pentagon to determine a policy for transgender service members within 30 days. Zelensky calls for creation of armed forces of Europe amid Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today called for the creation of an armed forces of Europe, saying his country's fight against Russia has laid the foundation for it. Speaking at the Munich Security Conference, Zelensky emphasized on the need for a unified European military force, saying that Europe cannot ignore the possibility that the US might withdraw support on key security issues. Center, state government working tirelessly to empower Bodo community. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the NDA governments both at the center and in Assam have been working tirelessly to empower the Bodo community and fulfill Bodo aspirations. He further said that these efforts will continue with even greater vigor. The Prime Minister made these remarks while responding to a social media post by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma regarding the one-day assembly session in Kokrajhar. Mr. Modi lauded the historic one-day special assembly session to be held in Kokrajhar on Monday. Third edition of Kashi Tamil Sangamam inaugurated at Varanasi's Namo Ghat. The third edition of Kashi Tamil Sangamam today inaugurated at Namo Ghat, Varanasi. This 10-day event highlights the significant contributions of sage Agasthyar to the Siddha system of medicine, Bharatiya Chikitsa, classical Tamil literature, and also his contributions to the cultural unity of the nation. The main objective of the Kashi Tamil Sangamam is to rediscover, reaffirm, and celebrate the age-old links between Tamil Nadu and Kashi, two of the country's most important and ancient seats of learning. The program aims to provide an opportunity for scholars, students, philosophers, traders, artisans, artists, and people from other walks of life from the two regions to come together, share their knowledge, culture, and best practices, and learn from each other's experience. US Russia to meet in Saudi Arabia over Ukraine war. US Defense Secretary Marco Rubio will meet Russian officials in Saudi Arabia for talks on ending the war in Ukraine. This has sparked fears in Europe of them being sidelined. In response, French President Emmanuel Macron has called an emergency summit in Paris tomorrow with European leaders, including UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. The US-Russia talks follow a recent call between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, not invited to the talks, insists Ukraine will reject any peace deal made without its involvement. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar discusses ongoing efforts for resolution of Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian counterpart Andriy Sybiha expresses gratitude for meaningful meeting. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Ukrainian counterpart Andriy Sybiha on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference in Germany late last night. The two leaders discussed ongoing efforts towards the resolution of the Ukraine conflict. They also spoke about further advancement of India-Ukraine bilateral cooperation. Dr. Jaishankar, in a post on X, noted that their discussions centered on efforts to bring about peace in Ukraine and explored avenues to further strengthen bilateral cooperation between India and Ukraine. Meanwhile, Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs Andriy Sybiha has thanked External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar for their meaningful meeting. Brazil to host BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro in July. The Brazilian government has announced that the next BRICS summit, featuring Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and other member countries, will be held in Rio de Janeiro on July 6 to 7. The summit will include leaders from 20 member and associate countries. The Brazilian Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira said the meeting will focus on important decisions for economic development, cooperation, and improving living conditions in member countries. The BRICS group, which has expanded to include Iran, Egypt, and UAE, aims to strengthen ties with developing nations and reform global institutions under Brazil's leadership. President of Brazil Lula da Silva emphasized promoting trade and investment among members through local currency transactions. Although there are no plans to replace the US dollar, BRICS countries are exploring alternatives. Meta announces 50,000-kilometer water-worth subsea cable project to boost digital connectivity between India and US. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp parent company Meta has announced a new 50,000-kilometer undersea cable project, Waterworth, aimed at enhancing digital connectivity between India and the US. According to Meta, Project Waterworth will provide industry-leading connectivity to the US, India, Brazil, South Africa, and other key regions. A company spokesperson said this investment reaffirms Meta's commitment to economic growth and digital inclusion, supporting India's thriving digital landscape and fostering technological innovation. Once completed, the project will span 5 major continents and cover over 50,000 kilometers, longer than the Earth's circumference, making it the world's longest subsea cable project utilizing the highest capacity technology available. United States announces Europe not to participate in Ukraine's peace talks. The United States of America has announced that Europe will not participate in Ukraine's peace talks. Keith Kellogg, assistant to the US President and special envoy for Russia and Ukraine, made this statement during the Global Security Conference in Munich, Germany yesterday. Mr. Kellogg is on a European tour until February 22 to further President Donald Trump's objective of securing peace in the region. Mr. Kellogg's statement came after Washington sent a questionnaire to European countries asking what they could contribute to security guarantees for Ukraine. Earlier, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for a European army, arguing that the continent can no longer depend on US protection and needs a strong military to earn respect from Washington. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has also urged Europeans to get their act together in supporting Ukraine. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar discusses evolving global security architecture with incoming chair of Munich Security Conference in Germany. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Norwegian Finance Minister and incoming chair of the Munich Security Conference, Jens Stoltenberg, in Munich yesterday. They had a useful exchange on the evolving global security architecture. Dr. Jaishankar also met Argentina's Foreign and Trade Minister Gerardo Verheyen on the sidelines of Munich Security Conference. In a social media post, the External Affairs Minister said they discussed further expansion in India, Argentina, trade and investment. They also shared perspectives on global affairs. The External Affairs Minister also caught up with Denmark's Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen and discussed the complex challenges of European security. Prime Minister Modi urges everyone to be part of Kashi Tamil Sangamam 2025. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged everyone to be a part of Kashi Tamil Sangamam 2025. In a social media post yesterday, Mr. Modi said, the Kashi Tamil Sangamam is a celebration of the timeless civilization bonds between Kashi and Tamil Nadu. He added that the forum brings together the spiritual, cultural and historical connections that have flourished for centuries. White House bans Associated Press from Oval Office and Air Force One. In the US, the Trump administration has indefinitely barred the Associated Press from the Oval Office and Air Force One after the news agency refused to use the new name Gulf of America for the Gulf of Mexico. The AP insists on using the traditional name, citing its global audience and the lack of international recognition for the new term. The White House viewed this as defiance and responded by revoking AP's access. US Deputy Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich defended the decision, stating that while free speech is protected, access to limited spaces is not guaranteed. He added that this move allows other reporters access to the president's events, while AP spokeswoman Lauren Easton criticized the decision, arguing that restricting coverage over a naming issue undermines press freedom, a key part of the US Constitution. Matsya 6000, India's fourth-generation deep ocean submersible, successfully completes wet testing. India's fourth-generation deep ocean submersible Matsya 6000 has successfully completed wet testing at the harbour, paving the way for conducting shallow water demonstrations at depths reaching up to 500 meters by the end of 2025. To ensure a seamless integration of all systems within its exostructure, the Matsya first underwent a comprehensive series of integrated dry tests over a 500-meter operational range. Following the successful completion of these tests, it was transported to the shipbuilding facility at Kattupalli Port near Chennai for conducting wet tests and demonstrating the submersible functionality. Eating vegetables cuts liver cancer risk by 65% in cirrhosis patients. A new study by the French National Institute of Health and Medical Research has revealed that eating vegetables can reduce the risk of liver cancer by 65% in patients with cirrhosis. Patients who consumed more than 240 grams of vegetables per day will have a reduction in liver cancer risk. However, no clear link was found between fruit consumption and liver cancer risk. Liver cancer is the sixth most common cancer globally. It often develops in people with chronic liver disease, particularly cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is a chronic liver disease that occurs when healthy liver tissue is replaced by scar tissue. This prevents the liver from functioning normally. It is caused by factors such as alcohol use, viral hepatitis, obesity, and exposure to aflatoxins from contaminated.
Subscribe now.
China condemns sailing of Canadian warship in Taiwan Strait. China criticized Canada for sailing a warship that passed through the Taiwan Strait. A Chinese military spokesperson accused Canada of stirring up trouble and undermining peace and warned that China will counter any threats in the region. Beijing deployed air and naval forces in response. Meanwhile, Taiwan's defense ministry defended Canada's action, stating that the Taiwan Strait is international waters and warning that China's attempts to claim sovereignty threaten global security. Taiwan also reported spotting 41 Chinese aircraft and 9 warships near its territory in the last. Nominations open for Prime Minister's Yoga Award 2025. Ministry of Ayush has announced the opening of nominations for the prestigious Prime Minister's Yoga Award for the 2025 edition of the International Day of Yoga. These awards recognize individuals and organizations that have made significant and sustained contributions to the promotion and development of yoga both nationally and internationally. The Prime Minister's Yoga Awards aim to celebrate exemplary contributions to the field, reinforcing yoga's role in disease prevention, health promotion, and the management of lifestyle-related disorders. The awards will be UN launches USD 6 billion humanitarian appeal for Sudan. The United Nations has launched a $6 billion humanitarian appeal to assist nearly 26 million Sudanese affected by the ongoing conflict, both inside Sudan and in neighboring countries. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs announced in a statement today that the nearly 2 years of conflict have displaced a staggering 12 million people in Sudan and across borders. It also noted that nearly two-thirds of Sudan's population is in urgent need of emergency assistance, while the country faces widespread famine. Sudan has been embroiled in a devastating conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces since mid-April 2023, resulting in nearly 30,000 reported fatalities by the end of 2024, according to a crisis monitoring group cited by the United Nations. But UN launches US. President Trump signs executive order banning transgender women from competing in women's sports. United States President Donald Trump has signed an executive order into law keeping men out of women's sports and also prohibiting transgender women and girls from competing in women's sports. The order has directed agencies to withdraw federal funding for any schools that refuse to comply. The order also directed the State Department to push the International Olympic Committee to make similar changes at the international level by making eligibility determined according to sex and not gender identity or testosterone reduction. The order was signed on the occasion of National Girls and Women in Sports Day in the US yesterday. January 2025, the warmest on record, Copernicus. January 2025 was the warmest January on record, according to the European Copernicus Climate Service. It surpassed the previous high in January last year by nearly 0.1 degrees Celsius. Despite expectations for a slightly cooler month due to a shift away from the El Nino weather pattern, global temperatures remained unusually high. While human-induced climate change driven by fossil fuel emissions is the primary cause of global warming, scientists are still investigating why last month was particularly hot. South Korea blocks use of Chinese AI tool DeepSeek on official PCs. The South Korean Foreign and Trade Ministries blocked access to the Chinese artificial intelligence tool DeepSeek on ministry computers connected to external networks. The move is viewed as part of the government's efforts to proactively address concerns that important government data could be compromised while officials use generative AI services. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety also sent a letter to government agencies urging caution when using AI services like DeepSeek and ChatGPT. The letter emphasized the importance of not sharing personal details and refraining from blindly trusting the outcomes provided by these services. Some tech companies in South Korea have also implemented similar policies prohibiting the use of DeepSeek for business purposes. DeepSeek, a Chinese AI app, has been facing increasing scrutiny worldwide. Dutch authorities recently launched an investigation into its privacy policies, questioning how the app handles users' personal data. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and US Secretary of Defense review India-US defense cooperation. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth today reviewed the India-US defense cooperation spanning across multiple domains, including land, air, maritime, and space. During their phone conversation, Mr. Singh congratulated Mr. Hegseth for his appointment as the US Secretary of Defense. Both the leaders appreciated the bilateral defense partnership and reaffirmed their commitment to deepening the ties. The two ministers have decided to work together on technology cooperation, integration of defense industrial supply chains, enhanced interoperability, logistics and information sharing, and joint military exercises. They also agreed to provide enhanced support to the growing defense innovation collaboration between governments, startups, businesses, and academic institutions. Recent wildfires in Los Angeles County caused estimated losses of up to $164 billion. In the United States, the two most recent largest wildfires that ravaged Los Angeles County are estimated to have caused total property and capital losses of as much as $164 billion. The report published recently by the University of California, Los Angeles suggests that total property and capital losses caused by the Palisades and Eaton fires could range between $95 billion and $164 billion. The report, authored by UCLA Anderson forecast economists Zion Lee and William Yu, predicts a 0.48% loss in county-level GDP for 2025, amounting to approximately $4.6 billion and a total wage loss of $297 million for local businesses and employees in the affected areas. Sri Lanka witnessed record tourist arrivals in Jan 2025. India maintains the top spot. Sri Lanka has witnessed a record number of tourist arrivals in January 2025 as India continues to dominate as the top source market. The data released by Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority has revealed over 2.52 lakh tourists arrived. AI Summit spotlights cybersecurity urgency and innovation frontiers. Leading figures in artificial intelligence and cybersecurity convened at the inaugural AI Everything Summit to address critical challenges and opportunities in the rapidly evolving AI landscape. Dr. Mohammad Al Kuwaiti, head of cybersecurity for the UAE government, delivered a keynote address emphasizing the urgent need for nations, governments, and organizations to swiftly adopt AI technologies to counter increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. The summit, which attracted capacity crowds for the second consecutive day, showcased over 250 early-stage international AI companies, highlighting the industry's explosive growth and innovation. The exhibition floor served as a vibrant platform for emerging startups, featuring breakthrough technologies and solutions across multiple sectors. Israel prepares for Gaza exodus as Egypt, Saudi Arabia oppose Trump's resettlement plan. Israel has said it has begun preparations for the departure of large numbers of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip, in line with US President Donald Trump's plan for the territory. Officials, meanwhile, said Egypt has launched a diplomatic bridge behind the scenes to try and head off the plan. The Palestinians have rejected Mr. Trump's proposal, fearing Israel will never allow the refugees to return and that it would destabilize the region. Mr. Trump said he wanted to permanently resettle most of Gaza's population in other countries and for the United States to take charge of clearing debris and rebuilding Gaza as a Riviera of the Middle East for all people. 32nd session of Indian Art History Congress to begin tomorrow in Noida. The 32nd session of the Indian Art History Congress is being organized by the Indian Institute of Heritage Noida. The 3-day event is scheduled to commence tomorrow and will continue till 10th of this month. Union Minister of Culture and Tourism Gajendra Singh Shekhawat will inaugurate the event. The conference aims to be a platform that brings together conversations on the various forms of artistic and performative representations of the epics. The theme for this year is Rendering of Indian Epics in Art and Culture, which aims to highlight the diverse forms of artistic expression. France delivers first Mirage 2000 jets to Ukraine. France has officially delivered its first batch of Mirage 2000 fighter jets to Ukraine. In a social media post, French Defense Minister Sébastien Lecornu confirmed that the first of these aircraft have arrived in Ukraine, though he did not specify the exact number. Mr. Lecornu added that after months of training Ukrainian pilots, France will now assist Ukraine in defending its airspace. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the delivery, which comes amid growing concerns over potential reduced support from Washington following the inauguration of US President Donald Trump. Last June, French President Emmanuel Macron announced the transfer of Mirage 2000 jets to Ukraine as part of France's military cooperation with Kyiv. US President Trump signs executive order imposing sanctions on International Criminal Court. US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court, accusing it of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting America and its close ally Israel. The measure places financial and visa restrictions on individuals and their families who assist in ICC investigations of American citizens or allies. The order Trump signed said the ICC has no jurisdiction over the United States or Israel, adding that the court had set a dangerous precedence with its actions against both countries. Trump's action came as Netanyahu was visiting Washington. Neither the US nor Israel is a member or recognizes the court. The ICC issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu in November last year over alleged war crimes in Gaza. The ICC also issued a warrant for a Hamas commander. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have been killed during the Israeli military's response after the Hamas attack in October 2023. FIFA suspends Pakistan Football Federation after failure to amend constitution. The International Football Federation has suspended the Pakistan Football Federation after it failed to amend its constitution as required for the smooth and fair governance of the sport in the country. FIFA stated that Pakistan will remain suspended until the PFF Congress makes the necessary amendments. This is the Pakistan Football Federation's third suspension since 2017. Since June 2019, Pakistan's football has been managed by a FIFA-appointed normalization committee, which was tasked with organizing elections and addressing parallel factions within the football setup. However, the committee has failed to effectively implement these plans. Despite several changes in the leadership and membership of the Normalization Committee over the past 5 years, the core issues in Pakistan's football structure remain unresolved. India achieves historic milestone of 100 gigawatt solar power capacity. India has achieved a historic milestone by surpassing 100 gigawatt of installed solar power capacity, reinforcing its position as a global leader in renewable energy. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy said in a statement that this achievement is a testament to the nation's commitment to a cleaner, greener future. It marks a significant step towards realizing the ambitious target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel-based energy capacity by 2030, said by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Minister of New and Renewable Energy Prahlad Joshi said that India's energy journey over the past 10 years has been historic and inspiring. He mentioned that initiatives like solar panels and solar parks and rooftop solar projects have brought about revolutionary changes. He added that India is not only becoming self-reliant but is also showing the world a new path in the field of green energy. PM Modi to visit France and US to co-chair AI Action Summit with President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to embark on a high-profile diplomatic visit to France and the United States next week. His tour will focus on strengthening strategic economic and technological partnerships with both nations. Prime Minister Modi's visit to France from February 10 to 12 comes at the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron. A key highlight of the visit will be the AI Action Summit, where global leaders will discuss the future of artificial intelligence governance. India, as a co-chair of the summit, will play a pivotal role in shaping international AI policies, emphasizing ethical AI development, accessibility, and innovation. In addition to the summit, discussions between the Indian and French leadership will cover defense, trade, and energy cooperation, further strengthening bilateral ties. The visit will also see the inauguration of India's new Consulate General in Marseille, aimed at improving consular services for the Indian diaspora in southern France. Prime Minister Modi will also visit the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor in Cadarache along with President Macron, reaffirming cooperation in nuclear energy research. Following his engagements in France, Prime Minister Modi will travel to the United States on February 12 for a 2-day working visit. The visit is expected to focus on trade, strategic cooperation, and technology partnerships, along with discussions on regional security. The Prime Minister is also scheduled to meet senior US officials, interact with American business leaders, and engage with the Indian diaspora. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to France is expected to further strengthen India's role in AI governance, with a focus on global regulations, ethical AI development, and technology collaboration. Prime Minister's partners participation in the AI Action Summit in Paris aligns with his vision of double AI, where artificial intelligence meets aspirational India. Beyond artificial intelligence, PM Modi's bilateral talks with President Emmanuel Macron are expected to cover defense, trade, and energy partnerships. The inauguration of India's new consulate in Marseille will provide better services to the Indian diaspora in southern France. Prime Minister's visit to the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor alongside President Macron will reaffirm India-France cooperation in civil nuclear energy. Following his visit to France, the Prime Minister's trip to the United States holds equal significance. Coming just weeks after President Donald Trump began his second term, discussions are expected to focus on trade, defense, and technology collaborations. With AI trade and strategic partnerships high on the agenda, PM Modi's back-to-back visits to France and the US underscores India's growing influence in global diplomacy and emerging technology. RBI reduces interest rates for first time in nearly 5 years. Almost after 5 years, the Reserve Bank of India has reduced the policy repo rate by 25 basis points from 6.50% to 6.25%. Governor Sanjay Malhotra made the announcement today in Mumbai following a 3-day meeting of the MPC. As a result, the standing deposit facility rate will be set at 6%, while the marginal standing facility rate and the bank rate will both remain at 6.50%. The MPC has also unanimously decided to maintain a neutral stance, focusing unambiguously on aligning inflation with the target while supporting growth. 38th Surajkund International Crafts Fair begins in Faridabad. Union Minister Gajendra Singh Shekhawat and Haryana Chief Minister Nayab Singh Saini today inaugurated the 38th Surajkund International Crafts Fair in Faridabad. The partner states for this year's fair are Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. The annual fair is being attended by nearly 600 participants from around 42 countries including Egypt, Ethiopia, Syria, Afghanistan and Belarus among others. It aims to promote handicrafts and handlooms with the aid of craftsmen invited from all over the country. The fair will run till 23rd of this month, every day from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Russia appoints new Roscosmos chief. Russian President Vladimir Putin has appointed Dmitry Bakanov as the new Director General of Russia's State Space Corporation, Roscosmos. Mr. Bakanov takes over from Yuri Borisov, who led Roscosmos since 2022. Before this role, Bakanov served as Deputy Minister of Transport. He was the head of the Gonet satellite system company from 2011 to 2019 before becoming Deputy Minister of Transport. H-1B visa registration for fiscal year 2026 to commence on March 7. The initial registration period for the H-1B visas for fiscal year 2026 will commence on March 7 and close on March 24. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said that prospective petitioners and representatives must use a U.S. CIS online account to register each beneficiary electronically for the selection process and pay the associated registration fee for each beneficiary. The US CIS further said that the fiscal year 2026 H1B cap will use the beneficiary centric selection process launched in fiscal year 2025. The H-1B visa is a non-immigrant visa that allows US companies to employ foreign workers in specialty occupations that require theoretical or technical expertise. A federal judge blocks President Donald Trump's order to end birthright citizenship. In a big relief for Indian students and professionals living in the United States on visas and awaiting green cards, a federal judge in Seattle has indefinitely blocked US President Donald Trump's executive order that seeks to end birthright citizenship. Slamming the order, the court reportedly said Mr. Trump is trying to skirt the rule of law to play policy games with the Constitution. US District Judge John Cougar's preliminary injunction is the second major legal blow to US President Trump's efforts to alter the US law as part of a broader immigration crackdown after a federal judge in Maryland issued a similar ruling. The judge noted that the Constitution is not something with which the government can play policy games. He emphasized if the government wants to change the exceptional American grant of birthright citizenship, it needs to amend the Constitution itself. Ninth Asian Winter Games to begin in China. The Ninth Asian Winter Games 2025 will kick off at Harbin in China this evening. The Games will continue until the 14th of this month. Deputy Secretary General of the Organizing Committee of the Games and the Chief Spokesperson said yesterday that this year's Games will see the largest representation of Asian countries and regions in history, and representatives from 34 countries and regions across Asia will parade during the opening ceremony. He said all preparations for the opening ceremony have been completed. He informed in a press conference that the total planned duration of the opening ceremony is about 80 minutes. In a landmark move to foster winter sports in India, the government has approved the participation of the Indian contingent in the Asian Winter Games. Israel releases 183 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for hostages under ceasefire deal. Israel has released 183 Palestinian prisoners as part of a broader exchange for Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Israel has begun releasing Palestinian prisoners after Hamas freed 3 Israeli hostages. The prisoners released today include individuals with various charges, from involvement in militant attacks to those arrested without trial since Hamas' October 7, 2023 attack. This release is part of a broader arrangement under the ceasefire deal brokered by international mediators. For those released, the moment marked a bittersweet return to their families, many of whom had been waiting for years. The Israeli government in a statement acknowledged the release of the prisoners as part of an effort to continue the de-escalation process, though officials emphasized that the release of Palestinian prisoners should not be seen as an overall shift in Israel's policy towards the Gaza Strip and Hamas. Boxer Lovlina Borgohain clinches gold medal in women's 75 kg category. Indian boxer Lovlina Borgohain clinched a gold medal in the women's 75 kg category, whereas Shiva Thapa bagged silver in the men's 63.5 kg category in the ongoing 38th National Games. Assam's Lovlina, who was boxing for the first time since the Paris 2024 Olympics, beat Chandigarh's Pranshu Rathore 5-0 by unanimous decision to mark a triumphant return to the ring. In the men's 63.5 kg category final, Shiva Thapa, who represented India at the London 2012 Olympics, had to settle for silver after suffering a narrow 4-3 defeat against Vanshaj of Services Sports Central Group. PM Modi to visit France and the US from Feb 10. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to embark on a crucial visit to France and the United States from Monday. In Paris, Mr. Modi will co-chair the Artificial Intelligence Action Summit with French President Emmanuel Macron. The Prime Minister's France visit is set to give a major boost to economic and trade relations between the two nations, with bilateral trade exceeding $13 billion and growing investments in key sectors such as defense infrastructure and digital technology. The visit will focus on strengthening strategic partnerships. India and France share a dynamic economic relationship, with trade, investment, and industrial partnerships playing a crucial role. Over 700 French companies operate in India, contributing to economic growth and job creation. Indian companies are expanding their presence in France, particularly in IT and manufacturing. PM Modi thanks Delhiites for historic mandate, pledges unwavering development. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has thanked Delhi's people for their mandate given to the party in the Delhi Assembly polls. In a social media post, the Prime Minister said that he bowed to Delhiites for this resounding and historic mandate to the party. Mr. Modi said that it is BJP's guarantee that the party will leave no stone unturned in developing Delhi, improving the overall quality of life for the people, and ensuring that Delhi has a prime role to play in building a Viksit Bharat. Prime Minister Modi has also lauded the party workers' efforts in winning the Delhi Assembly polls. Mr. Modi said he is proud of all party workers who have worked very hard, leading to this outstanding result. The Prime Minister added that the BJP will work even more vigorously and serve the wonderful people of Delhi.